Anne's Banned Book Corner, a channel where we talk about banned books and also books that have been challenged and get into the controversial stuff here. Woo! Anyway, so if you're into all that jazz, like, subscribe, and follow this channel for more information and stuff. So this book is by George M. Johnson, and it is the book All Boys Aren't Blue. This book was the #1 challenged book in 2024. And I don't always like hollering homophobia, but I'm gonna holler homophobia on this one. And I'll explain why. And before we get into this book and, all that it is, I just want to say that on this channel, we are real. We get real, we get honest, and we get to the point, at least somewhat. And the truth about books is that, for example, there are gay teenagers out there. There are people who may feel like they are represented in this book because of the person's race. And there are people who may feel like they have a voice by reading this book. So who is it to other people, other parents, to decide what other parents' children read? I don't think that other people should be deciding what other people read. I think if you don't like a book, don't read it. If you don't like to have your mind expanded more, don't read something. I'm just saying. If you personally think that a book is going to make somebody gay, well, just have them read a straight book. Duh. With that logic anyway. So we don't shy away from controversy. So this book, All Boys Aren't Blue, was created by George M. Johnson, and I believe he was born in 1985. I'll look it up and put it in the comment section. But he talks about his lived experience as a black young boy and a gay guy, and he just talks about his experience. 98% of the book is talking about his family, and honestly, I'm just gonna get into the book because I really want to talk about this part. I really like that his family kind of knew that he was gay, but they just kind of held space for that. They weren't really, trying to convince him to be straight. They weren't really trying to convince him, to not be as effeminate. I think I said that word right. Effeminate. They just, kind of held space for him, and they just kind of, they just hung out and they just did family things. It wasn't a thing that he liked certain things. Like there's a chapter in here where he goes to Disney World and everybody else wants tennis shoes and he wants cowboy boots, and he got cowboy boots. I thought that was a pretty cool story because the nanny, which by the way my grandma is named, I call her Nanny too. I can kind of relate to that in the story too, where she's like, what he wants he's gonna get, and so she got him cowboy boots, and it was so awesome. They went to Disney World and it was a good time. So I really like that part of the story where it's mainly about family and friends and overcoming challenges. There's a lot of stuff in here where, like for example, he liked to double dutch in, I think, elementary school or whatever, and it was elementary school, and somebody told him that, hey, they think you're the F slur, and so he went out of his comfort zone and played football. He overcame a challenge. He's like, oh, I can do both things. So I think this book is appropriate for high school, no more than high school to adult, because this book does contain essay, it does contain talks about sex, But I don't see that as a bad thing for a high school student to read. And I also think that if you don't want your kid to be reading this book, then you need to be the one that has the conversation with your kid. It is not the library's job to ban books that they think are appropriate for certain ages, certain age groups. It's not the library's job to police every student that wants to. If a student wants to check out All Boys Aren't Blue, it is not the library's job to go, well, your parents don't want you to check that out. So I believe that, it's partly challenged because instead of having conversations with their kids, because they don't want to be like, well, I don't want you to read this book, they would rather blame the library instead and get it challenged, get it banned, so they don't have to have those conversations. And shame on them, because this book is a really good book. And I feel like a lot of people couldn't relate to this book. They can relate to feeling like they have to wear a mask and they have to pretend to be somebody they're not. I can relate to that because I have autism, I'm a lesbian. I can relate to feeling that way. Whenever I was younger, I can feel like that, and I know plenty of people can feel that way too. So I really don't like that it is the number one challenged book, but the flip side of that coin is that because you have people on the news showing Congress people reading it, then it's on the news. So that means that more people are like, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal about this book? So it leads more people to wanting to buy the book. And personally, a challenged book is just as bad, but on the flip side, it actually makes parents have to do their job of parenting. And I remember when I went to a library, we would hand our books over to my mom, and my mom would go through the book, and she'd be like, oh, this is a good book, or, oh, I don't think you should read that book, and stuff like that. So, it's called being a parent. Instead of just being on your phone, make sure your kid is reading the right book, right stuff, or, stuff that you want them to read. It's not up to other people to police libraries to not have these books in their libraries. I believe that this book is also the number one challenge book because this is about a gay person. And I'm going to put the statistics and stuff like that in the comment section again, or in the description actually. I'm going to put it all in the description. And I believe that it's 50% of books that are LGBT are either challenged or banned. So take that information as what you will. But I personally don't like the fact that other points of view aren't being allowed to be read. Because when you read something that isn't like your lived experience, you learn how other people live. You learn how to have empathy and how to grow. Books are meant to challenge ideas. That's mainly another thing. Books are meant to challenge ideas on what you think the world is, and to make you question stuff, or to affirm what you believe. It could do that too. And this may be a rambly video, but I hope that, if anything, you got something out of it, that, a book that is banned is a book that is stand. And that's all I have today. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.